So thank you all for joining us today. We're having the last installment of our April Plant Phenomics Fridays. It's good to see the group of you in the room. We have a big group of people also online, though you don't really see them from the position where you are right now. Our Plant Phenomics Fridays this month has been called Satellites to Seeds, our spring seminar series. Speaking today, we have Jennifer Clarke and Philipp von Gillhaussen from the International Plant Phenotyping Network, as well as Malia Gehan from the North American Plant Phenotyping Network. Before we get started, I just want to remind you that we're funded by the High Intensity Phenotyping Sites, a multi-scale, multimodal sensing and sense-making cyber ecosystem for genomes to fields. That is through the USDA NIFA. We're also funded by IRA, the AI Institute for Resilient Agriculture, which is funded by USDA NIFA and the National Science Foundation. Unlike some of our previous offerings, this is probably going to be, as we were just discussing, and some of you heard, much more interactive because our speakers today are interested to actually talk with you as they do their presentations. I'm going to start by introducing Jennifer Clarke. Jennifer has a PhD. She is a professor in food science and technology, as well as statistics, and she's the director of the Quantitative Life Sciences Initiative at the University of Nebraska, Lincoln. Dr. Clarke is chair of the academic section of the IPPN and previously served as chair of the NAPPN. She is leading efforts to develop a blueprint for a national agricultural producers data framework for the USDA. Her current interests include statistical and AI methodology for robust prediction and training the next generation of data scientists. Philipp von Gillhaussen studied applied biogeography in Germany and did his PhD studies applying community assembly theory to increase productivity in Central European meadow ecosystems using positive plant-plant interactions. Later, as a postdoc, he taught statistics and experimental design in the Bavarian Elite Study Program, Global Change Ecology, and investigated single plant and community interactions in function of artificially created projected global change scenarios in the field and in enclosed environments. Before joining the International Plant Phenotyping Network as an operations manager, Philipp worked several years as a business developer for the Dutch phenotyping system and sensor builder Phenospecs. Malia Gehan did her PhD research examining the intersection of cold signaling and the circadian clock at Michigan State University. She was an NSF Plant Genome Postdoctoral Fellow and is an assistant member and principal investigator at the Donald Danforth Plant Science Center, whose group focuses on understanding mechanisms of crop resilience under temperature stress. To study temperature stress and natural variation, the Gehan lab develops high throughput and high resolution image-based phenotyping technologies, including low-cost solutions that use Raspberry Pi computers. The Gehan lab co-develops and maintains the open source, open development suite of image analysis tools, PlantCV, along with Dr. Noah Falgren's group, and is currently the chair of the NAPPN board. The first person that is going to deliver for you a seminar that you can interrupt and ask questions as you have them is Philipp. And before Philipp takes the stage, I just want to tell you all a very silly story that I want you to imagine, because this really did actually happen. A couple of years ago at the NAPPN meeting, Philipp's flight was late. And it was not clear that he was going to make his moment to show up and give the seminar. And so he had given me his slides. And I had gone through all of Philipp's slides thinking, I don't even know what all of this means, but okay, I'll stand up in front of people and I'll figure out how to deliver this. So I had reorganized Philipp's slides just a little bit, and I was stepping onto the stage when he walked in the door. And so I said, I'm not going to deliver this seminar. I see that Philipp just walked in the door. Come on up, Philipp. And I walked away, and he came up to his own slides, scrambled. And he still did a beautiful delivery of slides. So together as a team across both North America and the International Plant Phenotyping Network, we have a good crew of people and we're always willing to give each other grace. And that's what we're going to do today. With that, I will hand it over to Philipp.
Thank you very much, Carolyn, for this very nice and personal introduction. I have to add, actually, that I had been on a 13-hour flight prior to stepping in there with a very delayed passage through Chicago Airport, which took completely all what was left of me, and then stepping on the stage was really revitalization kind of experience. Yeah, it was fun. It worked out, and I hope I can do something today just as similar to that event. However, today our topic is about national or international networks, and how these networks can be of use for you guys in order to maximize your outreach. And I hope to give some ideas, some incentives of how to use actually our phenotyping networks. Yeah. So I'm from the International Plant Phenotyping Network, as you can see. Can you see my slides well? Yeah, everything all right? Okay. Yeah, International Plant Phenotyping Network. Yeah, for everybody who's not heard of us, might ask themselves, the international what? So I'm gonna quickly put that very complicated graph I came up with on the screen and help you navigate a little bit through this. So this graph is only depicting a subset of the national and regional plant phenotyping networks there currently are. So on the y-axis, you can see geographic scale. So each of these networks differ, of course, in the focus they have. Some are of national scale that are at the very bottom. Some are involving more than one country. That means then for me regional scale, and IPPN is the only one that is working on an international scale. So really putting emphasis into getting people together on a global scale. And that makes the International Plant Phenotyping Network some one-of-a-kind thing out there among the other networks. But it also means that when you're looking at the x-axis, where there is time of establishment shown, that it is one of the rather older ones. And a lot of the other networks, as you can see, evolved or were built out of this initial group of people who somewhere at some point met and then got to talk and then get together. And yeah, so what is the International Plant Phenotyping Network? So the International Plant Phenotyping Network, besides all the members and everybody working together with us, who really form the body of our little nonprofit association, we are steered by a board of directors, as you can say, yeah, with Jennifer Clarke, who is also sitting on the panel today together with me. And together with Uli Schur from Germany, Vincent Jarling as a industry chair from the Netherlands, Rick van de Zette, who a lot of people probably know from Wageningen, David Hahn from the People's Republic of China. And then at the very, very, very bottom, you see that little face there that somehow bears a resemblance to myself. Well, that's actually me, and I'm the one that is transferring all the great ideas the board has and the members have into actions. So what is it actually? What is my job at the IPPN? It's to well, briefly execute the mission statement of IPPN, which is to establish a community that interacts with each other, that thrives, to address technological development and implementation in the space of plant phenotyping, and of course to enable and improve the exchange of knowledge within our network. Yeah, of course, integrating the regionally and globally fragmented activities from all the other networks and disseminating the important outcomes they are building in face of what's usable and what's applicable for the global scale. Yeah, and then of course linking members, platform operators, and whatsoever. So a lot of words, but I'll give a few examples on how we are actually trying to convert all these words into meaningful tools for you to maximize your outreach. Yeah, I will skip a little bit the history of IPPN and how it came to be. Just wanted to show this little kind of show-off slide that shows our members. We are working with institutional memberships. That means they are not individual people, but whole institutions or companies that can become a member, and they are spread all over the world, as you can see here on that map. So quickly, before you can pick a clear view on that, I'll go over and get to the maybe more interesting part of this presentation in face of our objectives. So we are, as a board and as the members, and also as myself representing the IPPN office, we are undergoing a lot of activities in order to create value for the global plant phenotyping community. That means we are organizing the International Plant Phenotyping Symposium, which is going to take place later this year again. But we are also working on webinars just like this. We are doing global surveys. We are facilitating communication among our members, and this is very, very important, we are also completely open, and all these services are completely open also to non-members, yeah, but interested people from the plant phenotyping community. So what is there in order to do in the portfolio of the IPPN? Yeah, for once, there's our expert working group. So I guess I'm speaking primarily to scientists here. So scientists always want to work scientifically and are, of course, also interested to get their work out there, for people to see it, for people to read it, to build up on that, and yeah, to get inspired. So our expert working groups are one means of being active in a scientific way, engaging with IPPN. And currently we have around 7 working groups in different aspects of plant phenotyping. Yeah, there might be some with a more obscure title like advanced sensor applications, where this working group is really diving deep into very complex technological setups and thinking and creating ways of getting more out of that beyond the initial first guess. Then we have more clear ones like controlled environment or forest phenotyping. We have one working group that is especially dedicated to create affordable phenotyping systems and methodologies. I think Malia will talk more on that in another context. And then, yeah, root imaging and seed phenotyping. So all of these accumulate a group of experts. So in order to launch a expert working group, you have to be a member, but in order to participate in an expert working group, you don't have to be a member. So for anyone interested in either one of these topics, he can just go on our website, click on the working group. It just looks like that, and then get in contact or simply write an email to me and I'll channel this through. They usually meet regularly. They are provided with a certain budget from the IPPN funds, and they report and are management assisted by myself, or to and by myself. So one example is, as I said, the Advanced Sensor Application Working Group, where you have people from Germany, from different institutions working as the chairs, and also Jennifer is part of this working group, and they create fantastic workshops. So I'm not gonna get into too much details. Let's quickly move on before the time runs out. I'm already speaking for, I think, at least 15 minutes. So what more is there? Yeah. One thing I can really recommend is hop on our website, www.plant-phenotyping.org. And there you will see a filled basket of different types of things. So what are these types of things? For example, you will find a link to our YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook accounts. Yeah, all these, let me quickly see. Yeah, all these kind of social media accounts, yeah, they are set up in a way that they funnel information that appears relevant in quite a few bubbles around these accounts, and repost and post things in there that are considered to be relevant for the phenotyping community. Articles, blog entries, other outreach activities from regional or national networks, and so on and so on. Besides that, on all of these platforms, social media platforms, we also have a company account, which is dedicated, of course, only to IPPN information. But we also provide a newsletter service to which you can also subscribe from the website, and we provide also mailings on behalf of the people that registered through our website for one or the other news service. Yes, further outreach is of course also done physically, not only virtually or online. Yeah, so we are attending conferences, we are hosting and motivating our working groups to run satellite meetings at other conferences that you can see in the bottom here. Sorry, wrong order. So physically is on the bottom. Yeah, so for example, also in North America, we attended the North American Plant Phenotyping Network annual conference each year so far, I think, and before that, the Phenom conference. We always try to promote these conferences and try to add some kind of valuable session here and there, or a talk or something. Besides that, we also interact with other networks, not exclusively plant phenotyping networks, but of course, these, as I said before, as well, but also with projects like the Agricultural Genome to Phenome Initiative, like DivSeq International Wheat Initiative, or others. And these informations are then, of course, also channeled through our web services to our users. We are running, and this is also accessible from our website, a global phenotyping infrastructure database, which you can crawl in order to find, for example, a suitable collaboration partner that has the right equipment that you need. We all know that plant phenotyping instrumentation is terribly expensive, so not everybody has everything at hand. So it makes sense to get connected and to see what, in order to get connected, you got to see what's out there. And that you can do via this database or via map search, depending on what you're looking for. By the way, this little tool is user fed. So if you want your phenotyping installation to show up on that map, feel free to enter your installation via the little new installation button here, and yeah, you can take it from there. We're running a Phenomics webinars, another webinar series, just like the Phenomics Phridays, just like that, where we offer people a platform, researchers or companies a platform to get in contact with you. And we offer also international events and news services on our website. So these don't come flying into your inbox, but you have to look on our website and crawl the website for these. Just use the navigation panel at the top, go to news and events, and you will find duration of a couple of months ahead of today, you will find all relevant events, and ranging back from today, you will find a lot of relevant information around phenotyping and yeah, other networks and other projects and so on. That's it. The last thing that I want to briefly say is that web-based interaction is super vital, especially after the past 2.5 years. However, what we are all craving for was basically seeing each other again. We had a beautiful in-person event at the NAPPN annual conference earlier this year in Athens, Georgia, and that was just a lot of fun. And that was the point where I noticed for myself that I had gotten really deprived of personal interactions in my working environment, and I enjoyed it very much. So if you are looking for a similar sensation, then I can totally recommend our International Plant Phenotyping Symposium that is going to take place in September. Visit our website, you will see all available information there. And yeah, that's just a little bit of a promotion I had to run for today. So yeah, if you want to get in contact, feel free, but you can, of course, also do that through the organizers of this webinar series, I'm sure. Jennifer, did I miss something? You're muted.
You didn't miss anything, Philip. I just wanted to add from a North American perspective or from a domestic perspective that there's value in being part of the international community. So if you're a student or you're a researcher, or you're interested in plant phenotyping, I think that the international network is probably the best way to stay connected with what is happening in plant phenotyping from a global perspective. So, you know, the IPPS events and the IPPN newsletter and the communications and the webpage, there's a lot of, you know, sort of what's happening in phenotyping, both in North America, but also in other countries. And so it's really interesting to be able to see what's happening on other continents in phenotyping, because each area has different agri-ecosystems and different priorities when it comes to the types of plants, the type of technology that's used, what are the funding priorities, what are the economic priorities. And so it's interesting to see how, sort of science develops in different areas globally. And plant phenotyping is one area of science that is particularly global. There are phenotyping strengths in multiple countries and across different continents. So I was just going to say that, to highlight that, that having that international perspective can be incredibly valuable. And it's a great way to build collaborations with individuals who share your research interests or are involved in, training of students and postdocs, and may bring a different perspective to your science, which is incredibly valuable.
May I make a stupid practical comment? So to everybody that is a member of IPPN, who you saw that slide with all of those different members. And for those of you that are in the room here with me, I just want to point out Iowa State is a member. And now you're going to see how my current job squares with this. We pay a membership fee. And it turns out there are working groups. And if you're on working groups and you're involved in a project, they have money that supports your projects. And that's one of the stupid, practical, mathematical ways that it becomes worth it. You make all the connections that just got described, and you get to be involved in projects that have some money behind them. So if that's something that causes you to want to square your interest with actually engaging, there's that.
Yeah, that's a great way of getting your money back.
And I think, Philip, there are some travel, there is a travel award mechanism for the IPPS. So if early career people, students are interested in attending, I encourage them to, submit an abstract and see if you can get some support to go to the conference.
Yes, absolutely. Just hop on our conference homepage. You will see it right away on the first landing page, travel grant, and the application deadline is I'm a little bit ashamed. I don't
May 15?
No, June 30 even.
Oh, it's even better than I thought.
Closes. yeah, later than so you have enough time to prepare all the forms and deliverables for this, and we give out, I think, up to 7 travel grants for up to €2,000 of travel expenses. So yeah, plenty of opportunities here. Also, for coming over to Europe, because the IPPS will be in Wageningen. We have now a special rate for accompanying persons. Yeah, that only will pay like 100 or a little bit over euro, and the accompanying person can attend the opening reception and the conference dinner together with their spouses. So also a great thing. Well, we are just trying to make it accessible and yeah.
So for people who are interested in conferences, because I think coming out of the pandemic, some people are really excited to see everybody in person. The IPPS is held every other year. And so on years when there's not an IPPS, what the network does is team up with a local plant phenotyping network and have representation at their conference, right? So kind of this conference schedule moves around the globe. And, there's some years when there's an IPPS, like 2022, and then in 2023, the International Network will have a strong presence, they'll partner with a regional network and be involved in their conference. And then the following year, there's another IPPS. So there's a rotation schedule. So it moves around to different continents. So if there's a continent that you've never been to and you would like to visit, just wait. It will pop up. Okay, maybe not Antarctica, but the rest of them will pop up.
It's actually a great transition to talk about our regional network in North America. Nicely done, Jennifer. Thank you. With that, I'll hand it over to Malia.
I also have a few slides and I'll go through them quickly because I think from Philippe's presentation, you can kind of get a sense of the mission of the North American Plant Phenotyping Network based on IPPN's mission. But really, it's to accelerate the visibility and impact of plant phenotyping research, which is very diverse in terms of the number of types of expertise that are included within that network, to maximize existing synergies, to identify and reduce potential bottlenecks, and to facilitate collaboration. That's a big thing, especially bringing together people during meetings, incentivizing mutually beneficial research between public and private sectors. That's a big part of the IPPN as well. We have members of our board that are from industry, as well as from academic institutions. Promoting framework for data standards and facilitating data access and sharing, increasing the visibility and impact of plant phenotyping as a tool to enable scientific research. Facilitating interdisciplinary training is also a really big one. And I know the focus of this particular session is on outreach. And so that's a big part of what the NAPPN is trying to help facilitate. So I wanted to highlight some of the specific things that have happened in this past year as part of the NAPPN, because those sort of have a major impact on how the network will go moving forward. And obviously, Jennifer was a huge part of this as our outgoing chair. And so one of the big things from this past year was, like was mentioned, is we had our first in-person hybrid meeting that was specific to NAPPN. We had a meeting in 2021, but that was virtual only. And so this was the first sort of in-person hybrid meeting that happened in 2022. As part of this, Jennifer and others on the planning committee were really instrumental in getting funding for graduate students and undergraduates to attend this conference. I think most of the undergraduates who were not UGA local received travel awards to attend the NAPPN conference. And we also had a grant that David LeBauer was instrumental in getting that specifically facilitated researchers from HBCUs attending the UGA meeting. This past year, it was important for the NAPPN to become a nonprofit. One of these things that it allows us to do is, again, to apply for those grant dollars so that we can help make sure that there's a diversity of people who are attending our NAPPN meetings. It also allows us to get funding for things like Phenome Force. This is a webinar series that's run by Philipp and Rita and Clara. And this helps to facilitate some educational and outreach materials that are public on YouTube. But they do a really great job of running this web series on plant phenotyping. Some of these workshops are interactive, and most of them, all of the materials are available online and they're recorded. So I would highly recommend, if you're interested in getting started in plant phenotyping, one good place to start is to look at this Phenome Force web series that's available. This past year, Darwin, Jennifer, and Camillo have done a lot to put together a new web page. And that was important because of a new membership structure that we have. We made a lot of progress with an equity, inclusivity, and diversity committee that's headed by Aurelia Lawrence. The IPPN calls their groups working groups. We call ours affinity groups. Essentially, they're very similar in what they do, in that they are groups of people who are interested in similar topics. So there was a launch of an AI/machine learning affinity group this past year that's organized by Camillo. And there's also a number of different affinity groups, and you can look for the information on those or apply to have your own affinity group on the NAPPN website. So something new this year, we have an early career award that has been going on for several years. So that's for individuals who I think are 10 years out or closer to their PhD. But new this year was added an industry award and also a graduate student award, early career awards. So these are awards that if you're part of the networks, especially, help to highlight up and coming individuals and that acknowledge their contributions to the network. There's also, a new Equity, Inclusion, and Diversity Award as well. There will be the 2023 conference is going to be in February in St. Louis at the Donald Danforth Plant Science Center. So if you are interested in any of these topics and are in the United States currently, it could be a very convenient meeting for you to attend. And we plan for that to, again, be a hybrid meeting. So something that's new this year. Philipp mentioned that the pay structure for sort of becoming part of the IPPN is by institution. So the NAPPN is slightly different, and that is by individual. And that this is the first year that we're really having membership dues, and those allow us to reinvest into the network. It helps to support the annual meeting and to eventually will help to support affinity groups going forward. The board didn't just implement membership fees. It was voted upon by our membership. And so the inaugural dues are sort of here, and they're valid for a year. And included in that, you get a discounted fee for the annual meeting. And you sort of become, an active member of this community because you are eligible to vote in whatever votes we have coming up that will help to shape the NAPPN. So this is the 2021 board. And again, we want to acknowledge Jennifer for all her hard work for the 2022 annual meeting, as well as her hard work on the board, as well as all these individuals who helped to contribute to the NAPPN. This is the current board. I'm currently serving as chair, and Kelly is currently serving as treasurer. Aurelia is the head of our EID. So if you are particularly interested in EID, she is someone to reach out to. And then Christine, if you're interested in those affinity groups, she's helping to lead those affinity groups. We have newly elected members for our 2023 board. So these are individuals who haven't started on the board, but who shadow the board this year, so that when they are incoming, they have a good idea of what's going on. So again, if you're interested in the NAPPN and actually want to become an active member, active participant, say as a member of the board, you're not thrown in, which I appreciate. You're not thrown in right away. You're kind of eased into taking a leadership position, which is important, especially for sort of early career individuals who are interested in these types of roles. So looking ahead, we're going to start to form some NAPPN committees so that there will be more volunteering opportunities. That could be nice CV builders for those who are early career. We just sent out a call for those interested in joining the 2023 meeting program committee. So if you have somebody you really want to see talk at the 2022 meeting, or sorry, it's the 2023 meeting, I would recommend volunteering for that. Again, we're interested in having, there's interest in having a junior board member and a student affinity group. And then we're going to start to hopefully engage with other scientific communities a bit more in this coming year. So I want to just highlight the website here. You can get a lot more information than what I just rambled to you at the website. And if you have questions, feel free to reach out to myself or any of the board members. And I think this next slide is a thank you slide. Again, to Jennifer, to Darwin, who is sort of rotating off of his efforts, his administrative efforts, but although we can never replace him, we really want to acknowledge all he's done for the NAPPN in these last several years. And then Camilo has been helping quite a bit with website maintenance, as well as maintenance of the membership lists and things. So I'd be happy to take any questions, and I'm sure the other panelists can also answer them as well.
I have two people that look interested. I'll go to the closer one first because I'm lazy.
Yeah, my question is, what would be the easiest way to kind of, so I'm a statistician and I would like to, look at the data and see if I can develop statistical methods for that. And what would be the easiest way to get an access to the data or collaborate with someone who understands the data well?
So there's a couple of different ways. The way that sort of pops up into my mind right away, there are a number of different data sets that are already available through publication. And so if you're just getting started, some of those published data sets are a really good way to sort of get your feet wet. And so Danforth Center has a number of data sets that are available. UNL, so University of Nebraska-Lincoln, has a number of data sets that are publicly available. There are some from the University of Minnesota that just off the top of my head. So those are already published. And so if you just want to start to play with the data, that might be a good starting place. But then that also gives you an idea of some people that you might want to start to collaborate that have access to those data sets. And then it's another good way is Philipp's map had a number of different installations of large phenotyping facilities. And so those facilities are obviously collecting a lot of data. And so that's another good place to start in terms of getting access.
It always also depends on what is the question behind the any statistical operation or in any data set. I mean, there's plenty of data out there. Malia just highlighted that you can simply look into published research, yeah, to get your hands on. They usually put their or the relevant data belonging to a certain study or paper into repositories, and then the URLs or place web space where they are is usually given with the paper information. But well, it depends more on the question, and I think this makes sense to emphasize this because you can, of course, do a lot of things with these tables, but a statistician also wants to achieve a certain goal with a certain statistical method, if I'm not mistaken. So numbers alone don't fulfill that need. So the best way to then go on is really also, like Malia said, and I totally agree, to get in contact with a project or a PI working on a topic which is interesting for you, or where the data is of a certain kind. Yeah, and for this, for the latter one, of course, I can redirect you also to the infrastructure database, because there you will at least be able to find the tools through which this data had been established, and then you can have a handle on at least the kind of type of data, image data, or gravimetric systems data, or whatsoever, and have a little bit more on what
sorry.
kind of data. Sorry.
I was just going to say, what Philipp just said brings up one of the obvious reasons why we put together these networks. And that is because if you don't know what's out there and you don't know where to look, then you can't find it. If the network's there, then maybe there's somebody that you can reach out to, right? So one of the things that I heard Philipp say, that he may blush when I say it, he said, I can help you. So I feel like Philipp may end up with an email to this effect that says, point me at a few of these.
Sure. That's my job.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Next
Yeah,
question.
I would. So Carolyn, before you move, I would say, as a statistician, I second what Philipp has said and Malia about. There will always be more demand for your skills than you can fill. So if you want to work in this space, like in any other research or scientific space, I would say it's important to, look at some of the data that's available, look at some of the publications, try to match your statistical interests to a certain project, right? So there's a lot, as Philipp has, there's tons of data out there in this space. So whether you're interested in controlled environment, whether you're interested in imaging, whether you're interested in molecular and omics, whether you're interested in environmental data, right? So try to find a project that has data types that, or a scientific question that you find particularly interesting, and then try to reach out to the PI, to the authors, right? And build a relationship with them, because in order to be I think most effective as a statistician, you want to be able to build a relationship with the PIs where they explain to you what they're trying to do, and you can build a working relationship with them, as opposed to, somebody just emails you a drive, right? And says, find something for me, right? So you kind of want to build that relationship with them. Yeah.
For networking from Jennifer. Here's Colleen.
Hi, thank you for the talk today. So I've had the pleasure of working with NAPPN at 2 different conferences to lead student-led events. Is there any push to have these sorts of events at IPPN conferences where there are student-led sessions or workshops? And if so, is there any interest in getting students from different universities to lead these events together?
Absolutely. The thing is, we try to put this onto the program of our IPPS this year. However, there was just so much content already that it became very, very difficult to bring this into the core program. So we thought, okay, let's do a pre-conference workshop day. And that was filled more or less directly. Yeah, already. Of course, we have certain groups to which we cater, which are primarily our members, and of course also people like the co-organizers and so on. And then there was, of course, the grand NPAC opening that we also had to squeeze in before the conference. So I was very, very sad to see that there was no room left for these kinds of activities. Also, we had to exclude all the other networks for their possibility to give like workshops, network or community sessions. So these things are very, very pronounced in the US. However, in the rest of the world, which is a good thing, super good thing. Yeah, and as I said, I tried to bring this into the conference schedule for this year. I did not succeed, unfortunately. However, I will continue as long as it is possible for me. I will continue to motivate students to add program to our conferences. But as you can think, since this is a global conference, there are many interest groups who want to take a piece of the pie in form of parts of the program, and this is getting always very packed. Yeah.
Yeah, I think to follow up on what Philip has said, that as he mentioned, it's much more common in the US to have students developing their own content and having that involved in the conference. I think a way to enable that to happen within the IPPN is, have some students show up, have some students show up at the IPPS and go to the pre-day affinity group meetings, because I think as the community sees that the students have tremendous value and they have great ideas, and they're very engaging, and that's a way to bring in a different perspective to the conferences, then you'll see more awareness of what students can bring to those conferences. I know they're super packed, like as Philip said, it was really hard to fit even sort of core content into the few days that we have. But I think just having students there really makes a difference.
And another thing is where students from their end may facilitate getting more involved into the conferences program is through their participation in the working groups, because the working groups are open to everybody, and usually each of the working group chairs is always super happy if someone's interested. So just don't be shy, approach the working groups, and the working groups by law, so to say, by our statutes, always have the possibility to do these kind of workshops, to do these sessions. Yeah, they pick our session speakers. They are very involved in a lot of IPPN stuff in the back ends. And by participation within these working groups, students can empower themselves to also get into a position where they can actively shape these kinds of events and have an impact also on the program, of course, later on down the line, down the supply chain, so to say.
So there's something nice about what it is that Philipp just said about inviting students to engage with the working groups and with NAPPN, with the affinity groups. And that's something that becomes obvious to a person as they go through their career. And that is to the degree that a student thinks, isn't it great when somebody pays attention to my research? We all still think that always in science. Isn't it great when somebody pays attention to something that I like and care about? So that moment that you reach out to any of those working groups, you're going to see that reflected.
It was my pleasure. Thank you for giving me the chance to speak and interact here. And if anybody has a question or just want to chat about this or the other topic, feel free to drop me a mail. Just go on the website and look for any email. It will certainly all end up at my desk. So don't worry. Pick me on social media whatsoever. I'm super approachable, and each of our networks, may it be the IPPN or the NAPPN or any other plant phenotyping network, if you have a good idea or if you have a need to fulfill, if you think there's something that is still missing somewhere in these networks where we can improve for everybody in the community, then please don't be shy. Approach us. We are super nice people. We care. We really care. We will make ends meet there. Okay.
Thank you, Philippe. Thank you, Jennifer. And thank you, Malia.